Welcome to Side Hustle City, and thanks for joining us. Our goal is to help you connect to real people who found success turning their side hustle into a main hustle, and we hope you can too. I'm Adam Kaler. I'm joined by Kyle Stevie, my co-host. Let's get started. All right, welcome back, everybody, to the Side Hustle City podcast. Today, I've got a partner in crime, Jeff Caudill. How you doing, Jeff?
Good, Adam. Good to be a partner in crime.
Jeff and I have been working together on digital advertising stuff for many years now. Jeff used to be I don't even remember how we met, Jeff, but I do remember my first co-working space over at Longworth Hall, pretty much on the river in Cincinnati. You were there. You were part of our co-working group with your PR company.
Mm-hmm. I remember how we met. I was looking for some office space, and I believe you had some sort of ad or web presence. I found something on the web for office space for rent, called, and I talked to your dad.
Oh,
it was your dad that answered the call, and then he said, "Yeah, you want to go down and see Adam?" And I don't set up a time to meet you, however that happened. But yeah, it was through some sort of, I don't know if you had an ad running.
Maybe it was. Yeah,
something like that.
Interesting. Oh, okay. Yeah, I kind of vaguely remember all that. Well, we've been busy. We've been doing work, Jeff. So many projects later. When was that? That was like 2010, maybe 2011.
6. It would have been about 2010.
2010. Yeah. So it's been a while. So yeah, tell everybody a little bit about what you do. Like, everybody knows on here, I own a digital advertising agency, mostly websites, logos, creative work, but you complement that a little bit. So, we generally work together. If somebody needs PR, they need something written. Tell them a little bit about what your company does, and then how you actually got to where you are right now.
So we are, I call ourselves a full service integrated marketing firm. We do specialize in B2B, although we do some select consumer work. And so I've got a lot of industrial accounts, long-term accounts. I get involved when I look at my list of to-dos that are up on a whiteboard here in front of me, the hot next items I need to take care of. It runs the gamut from putting together strategic plans through to producing content or managing Google Ads programs. So it truly is full service and integrated, absolutely. So I always said this business, the way I look at it, it's a relationship business. My clients, I develop relationships, and I'm looking for long-term relationships. As in real life, sometimes when you're looking for a long-term relationship, you need to pick your battles on the short term.
Yeah, that's right.
Obstacles that come in the way. So, in thinking about this conversation, I was thinking about pricing, how much on digital services. I'm probably a little bit less across the board than what's out there in the marketplace, because I am looking for that long-term relationship. So if I can become a partner, a true marketing partner with my clients, I give a little, I get a little. It all needs to balance out at the end of the day so that I can make a living. But it's a little bit different than what I see on the more contemporary digital landscape, where there are, I've got a couple here right now in front of me from other companies around the country, really, on pricing for, say, digital ad programs, managing a pay-per-click program, managing a social media program. And it's a price list, right? And I get that, but I don't have a price list. So I'm more about the relationship, look at the circumstances, look at the objectives that are in front of me or in front of a client, put together an integrated campaign that will help them meet their objectives. And it may include some social media component, some digital marketing component, but it may also involve more traditional trade show, even direct mail. I mean, direct mail is making a comeback in terms of how effective it is. Good old print advertising. There are companies that still do the occasional piece of literature. So I get involved in all of that.
Well, you and I started in print. Like, I mean, we
started in print. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I remember when, I was kind of coming up with the internet, but I mean, print was still the thing. I mean, printing companies were really strong in Cincinnati. I mean, we had some Goliaths here, some huge printing companies that, they did stuff for, global businesses, and packaging design was really, really big, right? Because, Procter and Gamble was here. I mean, this city was like the center of advertising, and print was one of those things. You had all these German immigrants and everything come over. I mean, that's kind of what the printer was invented, in Germany, I believe. And, all these guys come over and they own these printing companies, and they get in tight with, these big brands, big companies, and they're doing all their printing. We had a ton of that. We had a lot of, direct mail, traditional PR. I mean, you came out of that, and I feel like, that got really cluttered. Then the internet came along. You had a whole new group of people like, oh, I'm going to take advantage of this internet thing. They jumped on it. Now it seems like the internet is clogged up. Like you've got, you're fighting with thousands and thousands of businesses in your category for, ads on Facebook and pay-per-click on Google and all that. And now it's kind of like, maybe you should just send somebody a flyer or whatever, you know what I mean? Or, it's almost like now that is kind of like there's opportunities in that space now for your business.
Well, it's the saying, what's old is new again. And I have seen that come around, things come around a second, third time that are, hey, and I'll read an article. Hey, I just discovered this thing called direct mail. I sent a piece out to 100 prospects just as a test, and 10% of them called me. Wow, and it's like a new thing, and of course, it's absolutely not new. But you're right about Cincinnati and P&G. I think that was the big. I think that P&G was the reason we're kind of blessed. We're blessed in the Cincinnati area with really great printers, great resources for getting a lot of marketing items done. And I've seen a lot of those printers now fall by the wayside, but there are still some out there.
Yeah.
It used to be, and by the way, your ability to, so with designers, there are designers out there that are a little bit older age group, like myself, who grew up in print. That's what they knew. They had to adapt to the digital. And then there are designers who've done nothing but digital. And I still do, it's mostly digital, but I still do a mix of print and digital. And if I'm trying to find a designer, which is one of the reasons I come to you for something that's print, and you and I have done some print pieces. In fact, we did trade show invitation that I can think of right at the beginning of COVID for a crane manufacturer. We've done some print pieces. My point is, if new designers that grew up on digital they're not the best option for if you need something that's print.
No, well, you don't even know how to set it up. You don't even know how to get an Illustrator and set up bleeds and all that other stuff for print pieces, and you don't understand what that's all about. And you send a file to the printer and they're like, hey, there's a bunch of stuff you still got to do to this.
And they tell you, I need bleeds on this, and the designer says, what in the hell are you talking about?
Why do you have a bunch of RGB images that are JPEGs and straight off the internet in this print piece?
But I think that ability that you have to think, and you got to think differently, to think in terms of print and digital, I think it's a strength for when you're working on either, because it opens the mind to other possibilities.
Yeah, it's like learning a couple languages.
Yeah, that's all you know. So I always, when I'm looking for freelance designers, I always ask them kind of jokingly, can you draw? Can you sketch anything at all? Like somebody's, and they're like, what? And I'm just trying to get a sense for whether I hate to say this, are they a computer jock or are they truly an artist? When it comes to the creative part, I want artists.
That's right. That's right.
And so that print digital bleed. But yeah, it's interesting to look at the landscape of printers now in Cincinnati. It's I know they're still out there. But
it's not the industry it was at one point where they were just printing money. I mean, it was nuts. It was like they're Bitcoin miners now, just printing money. That's how printers were back in the day, was just making money all day. Everybody wanted to go work at a printing company. You know, you wanted to be in that pre-press department if you were a designer at a printing company. That's just kind of how it started out. Now everybody wants to be at, you know, digital agencies and kind of speaking to that. So you are in the B2B space. So a lot of people listen to this right now, you know, maybe they're thinking, you know, hey, maybe I want to start my own business. There's not a lot of startup costs to being a digital agency. I mean, you got a computer, right? I mean, these computers now are more powerful than anything we worked on. You know, we could have had an entire room full of computers, you know, when we started. And, you know, you get a laptop now, it's more powerful than all those. Your phone. I mean, your phone is a digital marketing tool. I mean, you could do social media stuff for people. But, you know, the startup costs, you know, if you look at any of these side hustle recommendations, these lists, and I put them on the Side Hustle Facebook page all the time. But the last one I put up, digital agency, was one of the, you know, most successful businesses that you could start up. I think the failure rate was maybe only like 15-20% on a digital agency. And if you're, you know, like you said, if you can draw, if you're creatively minded, there's a ton of tools out there now, like, you know, a lot of the Adobe software and everything. There's templates out there. There's, you know, things that you can pick up. Webflow, that's a good web tool for building websites now. So you don't really necessarily even have to be a designer, because most of it's already designed for you. You don't really have to be a developer, because WYSIWYG editors have gotten a little bit better. But the startup cost, the ease to which you can start a business now, the barrier to entry is much lower than when we started. But there's a lot more competition as well, especially from offshore people. So that's one thing you got to be really careful with. You have to be able to stand out. One way I think you've decided to stand out is, let me focus on B2B companies. People don't know the difference. There's B2C and there's B2B. Explain the difference for people so that if they're thinking about starting an agency, I think there's probably less competition in the B2B space, but explain that a little bit.
Yeah, and it's I did a couple presentations over at Northern Kentucky University. I met one of the professors from over there who was teaching some sort of basic marketing class, and he asked me to come in and do a presentation to his classes, his two different classes, on what the opportunities that lie in B2B marketing, because it's not something that I think most people in the world of marketing, young people, consider. And there are huge opportunities, in my opinion. My clients' products, you're never going to see them, very rarely, on the shelves as you walk up and down the aisles in Kroger or Home Depot or pick your big box store. My clients are mostly manufacturers who make equipment, sell equipment that's used to build something else. So think machine tools, injection molding machines for plastic. So, you know, a machine tool that simply cuts metal or bends metal, bends the panel on the side of your washing machine, right? So a Westinghouse might buy my client's products. Is Westinghouse even still around?
I don't even know. Yeah.
To manufacture all of their appliances. So it's not glamorous. Some people want to get into marketing and they want to get into it for the perceived glamour that they see on Mad Men. Right?
Yeah, that's it.
High profile kind of stuff. So, you know, you're not going to see, for my clients, you're not going to see billboards that you can point to your friends and family and say, see, I worked on that billboard, or see that uh, that product on the shelf, that packaging, I did that. You're not going to see that. And some people want to get into marketing for that reason, and that's cool. You got to, kind of like getting your hands dirty a little bit, right? Like walking around the back of a manufacturing plant's not this way anymore. But as you walk through manufacturing plants and there was coolant in the air, right? Basically oil, you come out of there greasy, but there's a smell to that. And I would say, man, I love the smell of coolant in the air, first thing in the morning.
But you picked a niche too, right? Like you didn't just say, hey, look, I'm going into B2B. I'm going into this manufacturing space. Like I'm going into this B2B space. You specifically chose manufacturing as a niche. And I mean, you've been working with these clients. Like you said, you're looking for long-term relationships, and the clients, they've grown to trust you. They know you're going to deliver. You hire a lot of freelancers also, as do I, but you can't, if you're going to start a business like this, particularly in the B2B space, particularly with manufacturers, they're not going to put up with delays. They're not going to put up with, hey, I'm late. Like these are manufacturing companies. These are companies that have to be on time, on target, constantly. They've grown to trust you because you and the people you hire deliver. Talk about a little bit about that too, because I feel like there's a lot of young people out there that want to do side hustles and things like that and kind of have this laissez-faire attitude about things. And yeah, I mean, if you want to get serious about this business, being on time, being able to deliver a quality product, just doing that will set you apart.
Well, and I said earlier, I'm trying to build long-term relationships. I'm trying to be a true partner with my clients. That means speaking with them every week, in some cases every day, and become an extension of their marketing department. In order to do that, I've got to learn about that client's products. I have to get very close to being able to go to a trade show that they're exhibiting at and represent them. And I do that. In fact, we used to offer that as a service. We would do full trade show management. And we did have one client in particular that went all in. They didn't even go to the shows. We went to the shows and represented them and basically sold their product or positioned their product. But I get deep in a client's business. I need to understand what the language, what it is they do, what the features and benefits are of the product, who their competitors are, why somebody would want to purchase this, who's purchasing it. So that, think about, and I have run into this in say an SEO program that I will pick up, get involved in. And you and I have had some of these together where you look at the SEO program or a pay-per-click Google ad program that we inherit, look at the keywords, and you can tell whoever set it up really didn't understand the business.
Right.
There are little subtleties to word choices. You flip two words and the meaning changes completely. So in fact, one of our shared clients yesterday, I said, we've got to sink our teeth into your business so we understand it. So when I'm putting together keywords or doing on-page SEO, then I'm using the right keywords. I have to understand exactly how your customers are interacting with your products, and that takes some time. You gotta dig into it. You gotta do your homework. So, in the segments I work in, I read industry newsletters. There are still magazines and a lot of these. By the way, I saw a statistic recently on how the increase in print magazine business globally across B2C and B2B, that's a growing segment. There are more magazines look at the shelves, primarily B2C. If you travel, go through the airport, look at all the magazines that are there, or Kroger, or anywhere. Lots of magazines out there. But I digress. I just thought that was interesting.
No, that is, yeah. I mean, there's a lot out there and a lot of ways for people to consume information. And I mean, you remember when we were first starting this out, and I think a lot of people have to, if they're thinking about starting a digital ad agency or any kind of ad agency, anything that's, they're going to help their buddies get their website off the ground, or they're trying to, do whatever. You got to be cognizant of all the different channels that are out there. And I think that's what this is kind of leading up to. You think, oh, I'm going to do pay-per-click, right? You do pay-per-click. I'm going to do pay-per-click, which means I'm going to purchase ads on the Google network that if somebody clicks on it, I get charged, right? And maybe it's 10 cents a click. Maybe it's 50 cents a click. I mean, I do ads for the Side Hustle podcast that are sitting at, I think, 62 cents right now per click on Facebook. So Google and Facebook, those are the two big channels you really want to advertise on, but it's not cheap. And there's organic ways, obviously, to get your website higher in search results. And that requires a lot of what you do, which is writing smart content that's going to get indexed, creating a lot of pages on your website. I mean, you can't have a 5-page website anymore if you want to get indexed. You need a blog. I mean, we're talking hundreds of pages on whatever topic it is, whatever you're trying to sell, hundreds of pages that need to be able to get indexed. You need different ways for people to search for things and get to your website. But then outside of that, all the different print ways to do stuff, billboards, the back of a bus, taxi cabs, on top of those old things on taxi cabs. I mean, there's, so many different ways now that you can advertise stuff. I mean, when we started out, I mean, there was TV, radio, newspapers, magazines, obviously. I mean, there was maybe 5 to 10 really, good options. I mean, now it almost seems endless.
Yeah. And you and I have talked about this before. There are a few questions on the table that we discussed here. Before I jump into this one, let me say something about the specialization, because you said I chose B2B, and really it chose me because I got a degree in marketing, and then went to work for an agency from the East Coast that happened to be a full service B2B industrial ad agency, one of the bigger agencies up on the East Coast. So I cut my teeth there, worked there for 5 minutes, 5 minutes, felt like 5 minutes, about 5 years, and then started my own firm. I bought an account from them. So I loved it. But that's how I got into it. And I think my point is, if you want to be successful starting something now, pick something that you can specialize in. And that's specialization. I mean, so even deeper than B2B, there are a few areas I've had a lot of experience. And I can say, I also have a specialty in material handling, machine tools, a few other areas that I've had a lot of experience in. So if you're want to start a digital marketing or digital firm or digital agency, don't just say we specialize in digital. It's like saying I specialize in advertising. What's that mean, right? So pick a specialty if you can, just as a suggestion. And it can be anything, something that you're interested in or have knowledge of. Maybe you love camping and backpacking and fishing, outdoor kind of activities. Specialize in that because you know the language. I think one thing you have to be able to do, or should try to improve your skills in areas, copywriting. You gotta be able to, I mean, even think about basic SEO, right? Writing a meta description. You have to be able to write a meta description that makes sense and is going to entice someone to click. You mentioned all the content that needs to be generated that Google can swallow up so they can index, so they can rank you. Even if you're farming that out to somebody to write, you got to be able to come back and edit it and review it. Because if there's one thing that will really piss clients off, it's putting things in front of them that illustrate that you don't know anything about their business. So you gotta get up to speed on their business and know that that what you're writing, what you're putting in front of them makes sense. And sometimes I would say this, I don't know how to describe how it happens, but I deal with some really technical information sometimes. And I know just enough when it gets real technical to string a few sentences together into a paragraph. And while I don't know what every single word means, I know that paragraph makes sense, right? I know enough to say to put it in front of a client and know that it makes sense. I'm not an engineer, I'm not a chemist, so I can't explain it in those terms. But I get good enough, deep enough. It's like a salesperson, right? That's what it is. A salesperson knows just enough to get themselves in trouble and then bring it back to the application team, right? The technical application team, in a way.
Well, content is king.
100% of the time.
Yeah, content is king. And you have to separate your client's business from someone who closely resembles what they do. And we have a client like this. And in a way, I mean, they have competitors and they're in the manufacturing space, but they have competitors that are doing it right. Really right. And just constantly building content. And they're probably spending a lot of money to do it. Or they've got several people on staff that are doing it. Or they've hired an agency that has the capabilities to do it. But our guys, they don't get it yet. They're still trying to figure it out. Like, how does, what do I talk about? Mm-hmm. And a lot of times that relies on them, and building someone internally who understands the intricacies of their business to continuously write content, put something out there, do videos, for God's sake. Like, I mean, you guys are, you're in there doing your thing, you're repairing these items, do some videos, create content, like every landing page now. And people, landing pages are pages that you want Google to, like your homepage isn't your homepage on your website. Your homepage is Google. And if somebody goes to Google and they type in something, you want the next page to be a landing page on your website. And those landing pages now have videos, images, good headlines, good titles and descriptions, good content with a nice amount of whatever your target keyword is in there. Links off to other content on your website that's similar to whatever that landing page is about. You want to try to keep people in your website as long as possible. That's one of the KPIs that Google looks at to determine if your website is good or not. How long are these visitors on your website? How long does your content engage them? Do they want to stay on the website? Is it interesting? Are they sharing that content? There's so much stuff you have to think about. People don't even understand what titles and descriptions are. I mean, they don't even know what that is. Like, what do you mean titles and descriptions and how does that work? And, I mean, there's so much to it, but there's people out there that have no understanding of it. Right. Even if you told a client, here's exactly how you do it, they still won't do it. You could build a business just on that.
Sure. I mean, we're in business to provide a service. So to be honest, we'd rather, as a digital marketing firm, we'd rather be doing that anyway. When I say we, I mean the collective we, or this group. If you're going to be a digital marketing firm, you want to be doing it. You don't want to just hand it off to the clients. Now, I know that is a model. Train the client, do it once, short-term thinking. I'm just going to move from project to project. I've had my clients I keep for years, so I don't need to pick up a lot of new clients every year. That's just the long-term thinking. So it's, I'll come. You mentioned video and blogs and so on. So the way I interact with my clients is, hey, I understand what the objectives are, your sales and marketing objectives are from this year, because I do want to get involved in their marketing plans. Write it or read it. Understand what they're trying to accomplish. So I'll come back and recommend, hey, we need to put together these pages on the web. Here's why. On those pages, we need to produce content. And I suggest video because X, have a reason why. So there's that. And we need blog posts to support this page and create a stickiness on the website, so they can go from this page, link over to this page. It's a blog post about a slice out of this of idea or content out of this page, et cetera. Google loves internal linking. But you need to be able to make those marketing recommendations from an informed point of view, and then technically know how to put it together. Now, that doesn't mean, so I'm not a videographer. If I need to put together a video, I'll go work with a partner to work on the video. But you need to know what to recommend rather than be an order taker, an order, be an idea, provide ideas, be a marketing partner.
What about not just that, right? Not just about talking about clients. So what about people who want to do a side hustle? They don't, it could be anything, right? I mean, we've talked about this in the past. Like you and I have talked about, hey, why don't we just build something? Like we keep doing all this stuff for our clients and we're driving traffic to their websites and we're doing all this stuff. Why don't we just do something? I mean, we joked around one time selling dick pills. I mean, they're $5. Remember that? We were talking about that. We're like $5. You get them made in China. They package them. They'll put your label, whatever your label is. They slap your label on it and then they drop ship it. So really all you have to do is find a product that you want to sell, build a website for it, tell all your friends about it on social media, and start to push it out that way through your own network, but get good at search. One of the good things about owning an advertising agency and understanding how all this stuff works is you could just do it for yourself. I mean, you could build a product and sell it yourself and make really good money, passive income with just a website and a bottle of dick pills. Honestly, I mean, you make them for $5. They bottle them. They put the label on them, $5, ship it out. You sell them for $50. I mean, that's just one example. There's other things out there that you can be doing. I mean, instead of doing an MLM, you got people that are selling other people's stuff. Like you could do it. You cut out the middleman, cut out that marketing group, whatever that MLM is that you're involved in, and do this yourself. There's plenty of products you could sell.
Sure. That's another whole take on it. And so again, you got to have the technical skills. You got to learn and there are plenty of training courses out there. I've gone through a few of them, and there's lots of training from a technical point of view, how to sell on the web from A to Z, how to put together a website, optimize the site, do Google Ads programs, how to find products to drop ship. And you and I had talked about that and many other ideas. And my first thought was, well, why haven't we done some of those things, Adam? And really, I mean, the truth of it is because we're so busy with our core businesses, we haven't gotten to it. And that's another whole conversation all unto itself, how to create a business when you're already busy as hell, when you're already putting in 60 hours a week on your real job, whatever that is. How do you create another side hustle? That's a conversation in itself.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you got grown kids. Like your kids are already grown. I mean, there's people out there who just started their family or their kids are young,
Well, so you mentioned drop shipping, and I know I've mentioned this to you in the past, back in, my goodness, probably early 2000s I've been doing this since 1987. I had my own agency since 1993. So when I started, I mean, the agency I started to work at had no fax. I remember the day we got our fax, it was a big to-do, right? Everybody came, 25 employees come over for a meeting. Here's how to use the fax, which is laughable now, but it's good to see. I think all of that experience really helped with perspective and creativity, ideas that occurred to me. And it just happens with anybody with experience. Over time, you see a whole lot of things, and from time to time, you can draw on those experiences for new ideas. But anyway, in the early 2000s, my clients were really just starting to put together their first websites. I mean, I was involved at that level where it's, hey, we need to put together a website. They didn't have one yesterday. They need one tomorrow. And so in order to really get my arms around that, I put together a website, learned about drop shipping, put together my own website, selling, of all things, think about the shipping, cast iron cookware. to learn it, to learn how to do it. And it was fascinating. You know, I was pulling in $1,000-$1,200 a month in profit, never handling the product, just doing the marketing. But it was a great way to learn. And that is still, I know it's changed quite a bit. I've not stayed up to speed, but that is an option. And you and I have talked about many things that we could drop ship. I mean, name the product category. There are plenty of resources out there to find the hot product categories. And I would say, don't let competition scare you. I think it's the way you and I have talked about it, it's a numbers game. Figure out the process for putting together a dropshipping website, find a product, and then rinse and repeat and move on to the next product. So maybe it's coffee, makeup. You mentioned one particular type of product, healthcare. There are lots of hot categories. So figure out the process for putting those drop ship sites together, and then just rinse and repeat and set up multiples. I still like that idea. It's one that could be fun. We could have fun doing that.
Yeah. I mean, just, and make one work. And now you've created a process, and it's not like you even have to think through the process. I mean, there are, my last, maybe it was like an episode ago or 2 episodes ago, there was a lady who was, she started her own box subscription service, and all she does is monogram shirts and things like that and send them to people every month. They got a new item with their monogram on it. She makes really good money doing it. But then she learned by doing, but she created a process around it. And now she teaches other people how to create your own, subscription box drop shipping service. And, I mean, there's models out there. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. If you're a busy person, maybe take a course, maybe go look at something people have already come up with, pay them $100 or whatever in the world the course costs, or subscribe to it and just do it. I mean, you don't have to be, 30 years in marketing or whatever. I mean, it helps.
No,
it helps.
It does help. Because once you get those sites up, it's all about marketing. It's all about getting it in front. How do I now get it in front of people?
Yeah. And I mean, you and I, if we really wanted to, we could create an entire agency just around helping people get their subscription service or their box service or their, healthcare vitamin service off the ground and get their first customers. I mean, we could take a cut of that. We don't even have to do it ourselves. We could just do it and say, hey, look, I'm going to take 10% of your business. I'm going to help you get this off the ground. You're going to pay me $50,000 to set this up and write some content. Bada boom, bada bing. Next thing you know, they're making, $1 million a year.
Yeah. And what I did almost 20 years ago now with cast iron cookware. And by the way, the reason I chose that, getting back to do something you're interested in, is because I like to cook. And I was trying to learn how to use cast iron, when to use it, how to use it, how to clean it, and so on. So that's why I chose it. But I also chose it to learn how to put together a website, optimize it, do a Google Ads program, and so on. And I did learn a lot just by doing it, but it was a lot of fun. And I did it for the purpose of learning it so I could apply that technical knowledge and some of that marketing knowledge to my existing clients. But I could have just kept going with that whole drop ship business model. And I mean, you and I know how to do it. And we could absolutely, like I said, there's so many things you and I have talked about that we should come back to. And it's just pure time. I think too, for some people that I talk to, entrepreneurs or entrepreneur wannabes, they're focused on, I'm going to come up with the next big thing that nobody's ever thought of. Well, I'm being a little bit cynical, but good luck with that. It's amazing what has already been thought of and is out there. Okay, so maybe you hit the home run with something nobody's thought of, but there's, I think, enormous money to be made on simply piggybacking off what is already out there. Coffee, healthcare products, food items, health and beauty items, services, financial advice that's available out there for people like you and I to go grab and sell. Then it's just purely it's pure marketing, right? It's just marketing with these different segments. So it's not like you and I have to recreate the wheel to put this idea in place. So don't be afraid to look at and think to yourself, my gosh, there are so many people drop shipping coffee or T-shirts or jewelry or whatever. I'm not going to do that. I would think twice. There's a lot of things in this world we can control, but one thing that we can't control that's happening is our population is exploding everywhere in the world, which means more demand for everything.
Everything. Yeah, people don't understand it. And plus marketing, once you build something, you've got your little system together, right? You're shipping things out on time. People are getting their products. They're happy with them. I mean, marketing is just building. It's constantly building. You've got one customer, that customer tells 3 customers. Those 4 customers tell 10 customers. Those 10 customers tell 70 customers. Like it just builds. And as long as you're providing whatever that is you say you're going to provide, you do it in a timely manner. Obviously, you're going to deal with returns. You're going to deal with customers who are dicks. It's just going to happen. But you just have to convince enough of your customers that love what you do and love your product, then they talk about it. You want those influencers, right? And that word, gets thrown around a lot when it comes to, social media influencers, right? But these are product influencers. These are people who are big fans of your product that are going to want to spread the news about it. They're going to have it in their house and somebody's going to come by and be like, wow, this cookware looks great. You're going to be like, yeah, I got online at this place, Jeff Caudill's cookware. It's like, who's this Jeff Caudill? I don't know. He loves to cook and he's got his own website. Oh, I'm going to have to go there and check that out, Next thing you know, the whole freaking cul-de-sac has got, Jeff Caudill's cookware.
Influencer marketing is a fascinating area to me that I'll admit I need to learn a lot more about. It doesn't, in the B2B world, we used to say everything's 5 years behind consumer. And now it's more like 10, 15 years behind consumer. But influencer marketing in all areas is a big deal. It's something you mentioned earlier that I wanted to come back to as well as, and I've said this to you before, the basics of marketing haven't changed since marketing was invented, if you will. It hasn't changed in decades, the basics of marketing. And I'll oversimplify this and let people throw darts at it. But, with marketing, you get a situation, you get a company, startup, established, you get a certain situation, a situation analysis, if you will. You've got products to sell that have features and benefits and unique selling propositions. Maybe it's unique, maybe it's not. You've got what this product does. Then you have a market out there, right? You have people that want or need this product. Then you get your SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. You get that as background. Then you get your objectives, and then you get into a strategy trying to accomplish those objectives and action items, tactics, if you will. Everything before the tactics, with few exceptions, has remained the same for decades. What's changed now compared to 10, 15, 20, 50 years ago are the number of tactics. You said earlier, it used to be we had like 5 things to choose from. Right.
Now if you're a marketing manager, there's hundreds.
Hundreds. There are so many more tactics, but the basics of marketing have not changed, period. The tools that we have, the ways to get to those people, right? We still have certain products. Still have products, different products, more technologically advanced products, whatever the case may be. And we got people who want to buy them. We have a lot of different ways of getting our products in front of those people. That's what's changed. So, with digital, when you say digital, it's becoming this, well, what the hell do you mean by digital? Because digital is a big term.
Yeah.
When I say I'm a full service B2B marketing firm, you can dig into that. There's a lot of different types of B2B. There's like HP selling printers to companies, right? That's B2B. But then there's a manufacturer selling a machine tool to somebody who's going to build those computers, or assembly equipment, or testing equipment, things like that. So there's different. So you dig into these segments, and you can break it out a lot of different ways. But yeah, the number of tactics that we have at our disposal is enormous, and still, by the way, includes all the traditional, what we would call traditional marketing tactics. So, I hear people say, we talk about print in the Cincinnati market. I hear it so many times, print is dead. And it's usually a young person that says that. I say, really? Really? So, and I see research done by publishers where asking their, not necessarily just their print publication circulation, but publishers who have databases from all of their activities, digital, trade shows, print publications, et cetera, asking their database, where do you go to get information to make purchase decisions? Number one's always the website, company's website. That's obvious. Google, they'll go search on Google. And always number 3 or number 4 are a magazine, a publisher's magazine, or that magazine in digital form online, which is content. So, when you hear somebody say something is dead or nobody uses this, the flip side of that is I hear some of my clients say nobody uses Twitter for information. Well, that's not entirely true. It's just how much of what percentage of your audience might use Twitter or might use Facebook or might use TikTok. I'm getting into TikTok conversations. Small, but there's a small amount that will go read a magazine as well. So if you want to, if you really want to get into marketing, you've got to go at it with open eyes. So because there are so many more ways you and I can get information, it's just, it used to be that if you wanted information, you had to go read the magazine or go to the trade show or, call the damn company, right? Yeah. Now you can get that information so many different ways. Video, is something we touched on. That's an area you could specialize in.
Oh, video would be huge.
Video marketing. Yeah. Video is really growing in popularity,
or even this little sketch, the little whiteboard animation things too. People could be doing that. I mean, there's tools out there that you can use. You don't even have to be able to draw, really. Just be able to drag and drop things and tell a story.
Yeah. And there are people who just want to watch the video. There are people who want to read it.
Yeah.
So don't fall into nobody does this anymore. Nobody uses that anymore.
Well, Google definitely wants to read it. So, I mean, they like the video, and they're going to try their best. I know they got tools or whatever out there that, go through the video. I mean, Google owns YouTube, right? So they're going to go through the video and they're going to look for particular words. That's why some of these people get demonetized for saying things that Google doesn't want them to say, right? So, they're going through those videos and they're looking for the content on those videos, but also, I mean, they're still going through websites and they're reading the content on the website, and then they're looking at the video and saying, hey, does the content on this website match the content that's in the video? Should I, they're trying to make a decision. Should I present this to my customer? Because Google's customer is a searcher, someone looking for something on the internet. And they're trying to find a page on the internet that best matches whatever that thing is that this customer of theirs is searching for. And they're going to send them to possibly your website if you do things the right way, right?
Right.
So, but yeah. This has been great, Jeff. I really appreciate it.
Our conversation is rambling as our conversations tend to do.
Oh, well, but hey, this is super helpful for people. I think they got to understand, like, if you're going to start a business out here, you have to have these skills. You have to have at least an understanding of how the basics of this stuff works. I mean, you can go on YouTube and you can look up how SEO works, how paid search works, how does Google work? What does Google look for? I mean, there's tons of content out there about how to find this stuff. You have to have this. If you do not have this, it's going to be very difficult for you to succeed selling anything online.
Yeah. And find if you're just thinking, what can I go do? There's so many choices. And think about, what am I passionate about?
Yes.
What skills do I have? And start there. Like, hey, I know how to, you guys are talking about video. I know how to put together a video. And I happen to love kayaking. Well, start there with some ideas. Could you reach out to all the kayak manufacturers, REI, and all the outdoor companies, and position yourself as the kayaking video expert? Start there. Bite things off in little chunks rather than thinking more broadly than that. When I first started in '93, I bought one account from the agency that I left, and I had a lot of machine tool experience in the past when I was up in New England. And so I knew machine tools pretty well, right? And so I approached, it was me in my basement, approached Cincinnati Millicron. And they had a big agency in town, as you would expect. And Millicron, now it's just Millicron and machine tool, Millicron's plastics. And they split the machine tool business out years ago, which is basically now a French company. And so I got an appointment with them and came in talking about specializing in machine tools. I could speak their language. It was just me, but I could speak their language. And they had a big agency from downtown Cincinnati. And all I did was focus on my machine tool experience and my knowledge of marketing 6-7 years into my career. And I picked that account up, and I'll never forget it. I've repeated it so many times, what they said when they awarded me the account. And speaking about dissolving their relationship with the big agency downtown, who was much bigger and much broader. They did both consumer and industrial, B2B and B2C. And they said, we found out working with them that it was tough for them to write a toilet paper 1 minute and machine tools the next. We want somebody who can write about machine tools all day long. And that was me. That's why I picked up the account. It was because I positioned myself and was, a machine tool marketing expert. Now I had my other accounts were material handling and chemicals and, quality control equipment, things like that. But I did have a lot of machine tool business. So, figure out what you're a specialist in and market that knowledge that you have, use that, and then grow from there. If you're just trying to start out.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, Jeff, you've been a wealth of knowledge and experience, and I'm sure someone on here is going to hear this and it's going to open their minds, and hopefully they go start a business. Yeah.
Great. Again, sorry for you and I get to rambling. We started out talking about A and we end up talking about Z. Have a great time.
I think everybody followed. That's all right. I think everybody followed. I think it's good. It's good information. And, if they want to reach out to you, if they want to, find out about what you do, or maybe even hire you to take a look and at what they've got going on, how do they find you?
Easiest way is just to call me or email me. My phone number is 513-448-1140. And my email address is jcaudill, Caudill, at Gingerquill. The Gingerquill is a fishing fly.
Yeah, fly fishing.
I like to fly fish.
That's right. All right, Jeff. Well, I appreciate everything, and thanks for coming on today and sharing your knowledge.
Great. Thanks a lot for having me, Adam.
All right. Thanks, Jeff.
All right. Talk to you later.
Thanks for joining us on this week's episode of Side Hustle City. Well, you've heard from our guests. Now let's hear from you. Join our community on Facebook, Side Hustle City. It's a group where people share ideas, share their inspirational stories, and motivate each other to be successful and turn their side hustle into their main hustle. We'll see you there, and we'll see you next week on the show. Thank you.